Most people believe that the tarot is an instrument used by superstitious people to predict the future. But the tarot could be many other things, and among them, it could be a proper tool to explore the soul, to understand its forces, and to integrate them in your daily life. And in this video, we are not going to talk about the symbolism or the practice of tarot, but how it can be used within a psychological frame to gain a better grasp over the soul. Bear with me. So if you want to explore your soul, you will need a very solid mapping of that inner continent. And in the Western tradition, there are plenty of those mapping. There is the Jewish Kabbalah, there is numerology, there is astrology, there is sacred geometry. And all those traditions actually stem from the very same origin. It's a spiritual tradition we call occultism that appeared for the West in Alexandria, where the Greek and Egyptian knowledge has blended into a coherent form of philosophy. And I strongly believe that all those forms of Hermetic knowledge has been blended into a visual synthesis we now call the tarot. So basically, the structure of the tarot is based on Hermetic philosophy, and it gives access to the inner realm of the consciousness. Even if we consider that the tarot is showing a very deep understanding of the human mind and soul, it is a game, and it's very important to keep in mind that till the 18th century, there is no historical evidence that the tarot have been used for anything but entertainment. So if we want to make sense of that, there are two explanations. The first explanation is that the creator of tarot wanted to hide their spiritual knowledge and make it in a form that would not attract the attention of the church and the censorship and the persecution. So what better form can you give to your teaching than just a game that everyone is playing just for entertainment? The second explanation, which is complementary to the first one, is that you are supposed to play with those dimensions of your soul and of your mind. And it's really an invitation to adopt a playful attitude toward wisdom. That's why they make it a game instead of a sacred book. If you have a question to ask about your own life or a relationship of someone else's life, you can shuffle the 78 arcana of tarot and pick one or several cards to get an answer. And it may sound pretty strange to ask questions to a tarot game, but the structure of the tarot is made to attract your attention to domains or aspects maybe you didn't consider. So it really opened up the conversation and it opened up the perspective. And it creates the very same effect of a good conversation with a friend or a spiritual guide or a mental health specialist. So I don't say that it replaces having a good friend or a therapist, but it really helps to enter in dialogue. So you may consider, and the more you practice the tarot, the more it can become a friend in you. One of the central problems, if you are a modern seeker of the soul, is to integrate what comes from the mind and the discovery of modern psychology, and what comes from the soul and the discovery of all the spiritual tradition. And due to its dual nature, the tarot really allows you to integrate those two aspects of your psyche, because the mind and the soul are complementary. And exploring the mind requires you to get a very deep understanding of the soul, and exploring the soul requires you to have a clear knowledge about how the mind operates. And the tarot has that power to allow you to discriminate those two complementary facets of your psyche. Now we arrive to the conclusion of those 7 episodes about the psychology of the soul. First of all, I hope that you would consider that the soul is an important dimension of consciousness that is worth being mentioned as such, even if it comes with some risk. Second of all, I hope you realize that if you want to understand the soul, you need to understand the mind, and you need a lot of psychology to keep common sense and not to mix up everything. And then maybe you will consider the possibility that tarot could guide you within the soul. And I hope that we will produce some further series to explain the symbology of the tarot and how it can be used in a daily basis to explore the soul. But to this point, you have, I hope, a much better understanding on why is it so important to take care of the soul. So I wish you a very fruitful exploration of what is really the last continent human still have to discover.